How many of you have held something absolutely pathetic in your hands and said, but I might need this someday? Okay, who has the 8-track tapes? Come on, I see you need to see them. Who plays them? Okay, these are the kind of things I'm talking about. If you keep things because you might need them someday, that is what I call a belief. If you believe that you have to keep them for that reason, you do. I don't believe I have to keep anything because I might need it someday. In fact, if I invited you all to my house, which might be a little hard to do, it would be really hard to find something that's probably 3 years or older. In fact, my husband is probably the only thing I've kept for like 18 years. And there are days, trust me. But, you know, things come into my life, things go out of my life. But here's the question that I ask myself, and I'd like you to ask yourself. If you're going to hold something in your hand and you absolutely think you must keep it because you might need it someday, ask yourself this question. If I get rid of it, and then I go to get it, and it's not there, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? If you can live with that answer, I highly recommend that you get it out of your life and into somebody else's. I don't always mean put it into a landfill. It just means get it into somebody else's life, whether you donate it or whatever you do, recycle it. So don't always accept the fact that you might need it someday, because, you know, when your microwave breaks, you put it in the basement, you go out and you buy a new microwave, right? So when you come home and your new microwave breaks a couple years later, do you bring the old one back up? No. So that's what I'm trying to say. You just get rid of it. Get it out of your house and get one in, one out. That's what we're going to talk about a little later on. So don't always accept the fact that you think you might need it someday. That's not really an acceptable excuse. It basically is an excuse. Anything you believe, you're actually going to have your behaviors follow.
Patty Kreamer, a passionate, dynamic speaker who connects with and engages her audience to make positive changes in their professional and personal lives. Often called a cross between Dr. Phil and Ellen DeGeneres, Patty's speaking talent and strong sense of humor make her programs fun and powerful.
You might have too much stuff. Anybody here have too much stuff? Here's the secret. You guys ready for the secret on how to control having too much stuff? You ready? Stop bringing stuff in. It's really simple. You live in this house or a container. We're going to call it a container. And you keep bringing things in the one front door, and nothing's leaving. And all of a sudden, you've got all this stuff, and all of a sudden you're getting a little cramped, and you're feeling like you're sharing your house with a lot of things that you just don't really want to share it with. And you start to feel almost to the point of paralysis where you just can't move anymore and you don't know which direction to go in. So if you find yourself doing that, here's what I suggest. Use the one in, one out rule. You bring something new in, get rid of something old. Ladies, if you buy a pair of shoes, get rid of a pair of your husband's. It works. If you're a husband out in the audience, you know where your shoes have been going. It doesn't matter. You can do that. You just bring something new in, get rid of something old. Does that make sense to you? I mean, it really does. If you're not doing that and you're keeping things because you might need them someday, it's a recipe for disaster. So you want to if you want to control the amount of clutter that you have now, that's the one in, one out. If you want to declutter your life, bring one in, two out, or three out, or four out. I know some of you are having an apoplectic seizure right now, but it's okay, you can do this. In fact, if you really want to control things, stop shopping. Don't bring anything in and just start to declutter your life. And it depends on where you are on that scale that can make all the difference in the world for you. Does anybody here shop? I thought you might. A couple hands going up, yes, it's me. If you're a shopper and you know that you don't want to have all these things in your life, first of all, don't set yourself up for failure. Don't go to the stores often. But one of the things that you can do is recognize the fact that the minute you cross the threshold of that store that you're in, you are now a victim. They know you. The marketing people are giggling in the sidelines. They know exactly what makes you buy. They know exactly what makes you not buy. In fact, if you're in a store buying clothing and you're looking at the clothing and your butt is touching clothes, they know that you won't buy. You'll be less likely to buy. So they know the littlest details, the color of the floor, the walls, the music that's playing, the scent in the air. Everything is planned to make you buy on impulse. This is where it gets a little tough. And if you liked me up till now, you may not anymore. Ask yourself, do I need this or do I want this? It's a tough question. If you need something, that's fine. Just ask yourself, where's it going to live when I get it back to my home or office? And if the answer is the dining room table, it better be a centerpiece. Because I know a lot of people haven't seen their dining room tables in a long time. So there are a lot of things that are piled on top of it. So if you need something, fine. Where's it going to live when I get it back to my home or office? And what am I going to get rid of in order to make room for it? If it's something that you want, here's the fatal question. Can you wait 1 week to buy it? Ask yourself, can I wait 1 week to buy this? And if you can wait that week, you'll see things. About 90% of the things you just have to have and you lived all your life without, all of a sudden you don't need them. You walk out of the store and you forget about them. So if you find that you're a person that just likes to accumulate a lot of things, whether it's at home or at work, You just need to run yourself through that need versus want filter. In fact, my mom and my sister won't even go shopping with me anymore because I always ask them, do you want that or do you need it? And they're like, shut up. So I have to hear that all the time. So if you find yourself in that predicament where when you do go shopping or when you're just in any store, whether it's an office supply store, be sure that what you're looking for is something that you actually need and there's room for it in your life because you're the only person that can make that choice. Let me ask you one more question. How many of you have gotten rid of something and wished you hadn't? A couple weeks later, you're looking for it. How many of you have done that? I need to see hands. Okay, here's the thing. You're all alive to talk about it. It does not kill you to get rid of something that doesn't belong, that you didn't need to have. On to getting set. This is where you actually set up a time and a place for everything that you have to get done instead of just going at it haphazardly. And the first one is you want to define the activity for that space. So if you have a third bedroom that you'd like to make into a guest room, or you have an area in your office at work where you want to make it the copy room, now you have a designation. Or if you have a garage at home that you'd like to maybe put a car in, that's an activity for that space. So you define the activity for that space, and now all you do is you put things into that space which pertains to that activity. You don't just pile things in there. If you have a space in your life where things go to die, that's where everything goes, and you just can't even open the door anymore, that probably needs to have some new space assignments to it. And here's where people go wrong. You're getting set, and you're ready to organize your life, and you decide to go shopping. It's not a good thing. You decide you're going to go shopping because you got to go buy new equipment to get organized. That's not true. You got to go out and you buy those Rubbermaid swimming pools, well, containers that hold everything in the world. You go out and you buy new bookshelves or a new file cabinet. You buy all these containers, and guess what you do? You go back and you contain everything. There's a two-step process to organizing this part of your life. First, you have to declutter your life, and then you contain what remains that you must keep. Don't just go ahead and going out and buying all these containers because that's exactly what you do. You make a list of what you need, you go out and you buy it, and you're like, I'm ready. And then you don't get rid of anything, and now you're back to square one. And if you do use those containers in the end, label them so you know what's in them. And having a realistic time schedule, this happens to people all the time. They want to become more organized, but they don't have a time schedule, so they have 2 hours to organize a certain area of their life. And what they do is they start sorting. You get in that mood. Do you know what that mood's like? It's terrible, isn't it? You start sorting things, you're like, oh my gosh, my 2 hours are up, I have to leave. So you get ready to leave, and you look around, and what started out as one pile is now like 43 piles, and you have to leave, so you take the papers and you do this. Yeah, you're all guilty. Okay, so you do the stacking of all these papers, and now you're no further organized than you were when you started, so you don't want to have that happen. So what I use is called the half-time rule. The first half of whatever time allotment that you have to become more organized, you would spend sorting. And the second half, you spend putting it away. And in the Go step, I have a system called the easy system because I like things to be very easy. Some of us don't recognize this, but clutter is nothing more than unmade decisions. Does that make sense? That's a big statement, actually. Clutter is nothing more than unmade decisions. So if you have a hard time making decisions, what to wear to work, what to make for dinner, chances are you're not a good decision maker. That's okay. Just understand that you're not a good decision maker. Maybe have somebody help you to do this. But what I like about the easy system is it helps you make decisions more quickly and easily because there's only 4 options when you're sorting through papers, which is extremely important because I don't want you micro-sorting into 1,000 piles. So you do exactly what I just said. You take a piece of paper and you use that easy system. The E stands for eliminate. The A stands for act on it. And I'll show you what this means in a second. The S stands for send it away. That means it doesn't belong to you or in the space where you're working. And the Y is you file it. Okay, so that's it. That's the only 4 things you can do with a piece of paper. So you pick something up off of your desk, and you ask yourself, do I need this? If the answer is no, by all means, put it in the trash. And if you recycle, put it in the recycle. If you pick something else up and you're just not quite sure if you need to keep it, or you spend more than 10 seconds on deciding what it is, put it on the bottom of the pile. You shouldn't really, because I know what will happen is you'll get, oh, yeah, I remember this. And you get all into it, and you start going down memory lane, and then you're like, oh, look at these pictures. And the next thing you know, half an hour's gone, and your time is running out. So don't spend more than 10 or 15 seconds deciding on which one of these piles something should go in. It goes in the trash. Pick something else that requires action. Put it in the action pile. You'll deal with that in the second half, because remember, we're split the halftime. Pick something else up. Doesn't belong to you or in your space. Put it by the door and call that your send it away pile. Don't deliver it now, because you know why? You won't come back. Yeah, I know you. Okay, you pick something else up that needs to be filed. Do not open the file cabinet, even if you know exactly where it goes, because what will happen is you'll go like, ooh, and you look in there, and you'll get all wrapped up in there, so you don't want to do that, so put it in the file pile. And now that's the only 4 choices that you have. Does that make sense to you? Just easy. You eliminate, act, send it away, you file it. And then the second half comes along, you take that trash out, get rid of it. The action pile, take anything in your action pile and plug it into your time slots in your day planner. Don't just put it into a pile on your desk that you go through every day, because the one day you forget to go through it is the day that things were due. So don't do that. Actually take each paper and say, when am I going to next need to touch this, and put it in your day planner and assign it a time. And you can also take those papers and put them into a tickler file. If you know what a tickler file is, it's a filing system that has 1 through 31 and January through December, and you put it in the appropriate number, and that's exactly where it'll be when you go to do that activity. There's the paper for you. It's a really simple system. If it's for a future month, put it in that month. When that month comes, you pull it forward, take everything out, put it in the number of that month that you want to work on it. Not the day that it's due, because by then it's a little too late. So you next want to touch it. So that's the action pile. The send it away pile. You go out and you take it and you deliver it to where it needs to go. If you're at work and it needs to go home, put it in your car. If it's at home and it needs to go to work, put it in your car. Get it to that next step. Don't say you're going to do it, because you walk by that every day, and then all of a sudden it becomes clutter again, because clutter is also things that you no longer see. That pile of newspapers that you walk past, or the pile of reading material that just causes you stress. So don't let that happen. And the file pile, well, that's a whole day unto itself, but I just want to talk about the file pile. You want to just make sure that you sort it into categories and have it go into your filing system. So that's as simple as it can be. Organizing your life is, you don't want to get organized. I want to distinguish this. You do not want to get organized. Getting organized is an event. It's a one-time event. That's when you put the things under your desk and into a closet, and you shove things away. What you want to do is you want to be organized. Being organized is a process. It's an ongoing process. You work at it every day. And it's not that difficult to do if you use that easy system at the end of your day. And if you don't think that being organized is important or costly, let me just throw this at you. If you spend 5 minutes of each hour of your 8-hour day looking for things, that adds up to over 4 weeks a year that you spend just looking for things. If you ever look for your keys or your glasses or who always calls their cell phone? Anybody here always calling their cell phone? Yeah, it's really a pain whenever it's turned off. Okay, so if you're always losing things or always looking for things, life is adventurous enough. You don't need to be hunting for your car keys every day. Find a place and decide where they need to live. But if you just spend 5 minutes of each hour looking for things, that adds up to over 4 weeks a year. That's powerful. It's a lot of time. And the bad news, most people spend between 6 and 8 weeks a year. Take the get ready, get set, and the go. Apply it. Do it just for 10 minutes at the end of the day on that easy system, and you too can have a 2-week vacation you never thought you could have. Thank you.
For more information about booking Patty as a speaker or consultant for your company or organization, please call Patty at area code 412-344-3252 or send an email to patty@byebyeclutter.com.